Good evening, book lovers of the internet. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because for every subscriber, I get a new subscriber and I also read a page from a book of my choice. In this video, I am going to be reviewing a graphic novel called Nimona. This one is by Noelle Stevenson and I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. I believe it has about 270 pages, more or less. And I borrowed this one from the public library in Malta, where I live. And it was a lovely surprise to have found it since I'd been meaning to buy and read it for a very long time. And I managed to save some money because now I won't have to buy it at all. And I read this one in just one sitting. I started reading this one yesterday, finished it yesterday as well. I was intrigued mostly by the cover and by um, what the blurb mentioned, basically. And as much as I enjoyed the story overall, Nimona really got on my nerves, and this is something that I really learned about when it comes to criticizing literature. So, just because there's a character you hate doesn't mean you hate the story, it just means that a horrible character is written very well. In certain cases, of course, I will come to that once again later. So, yeah, she's an extremely frustrating character to work with, as I'm sure Blackheart, the villain of the story, can definitely tell you. And come to think of it, she doesn't really serve much of a purpose but to cause chaos and destruction, which in a way is the main reason why she is there. So, with powers like hers, basically, she's a shapeshifter, and there are several characters I am aware of which are also shapeshifters. I am a fan of shapeshifters in general, but if I had the powers she does, I mean, I would be able to travel the world. I would do so many awesome things without having to be violent at all. For instance, travel the world, impersonate horrible people, and paint myself in an optimistic light whilst promising to make the world a better place and promoting the world as the brilliant place it can actually be, actually making some great changes. And even I suppose I would be able to learn to speak every single language. And this is where some of my confusion stemmed from, because we are told that every time Nimona alters her shape, all her cells die and new ones are created. And this really made me curious with regard to how her memory would work, because frankly, there wouldn't be one if every single cell in her body just died every time she decided to change the way she looks in drastic ways. It defies all laws of science, basically. And what's fantastic about the story is that Blackheart, the villain, does love science, but also appreciates magic, and Nimona has a bit of both. And Blackheart kind of reminded me of Doctor Strange as well. So basically, just to give you a bit of a summary with regard to what this is about, it's about this girl called Nimona, of course, who decides to become a sidekick to the villain of the nation she resides in, and then goes on to work against the institution, who spares no expense when it comes to putting its own people in danger, despite there being no risk of war in the nation. And yet they do quite a lot of harmful things and make several decisions which could kill several people. And I don't know why they would do that, to be honest. But anyway, Blackheart and Golden Loin, they are brilliant names. And I just wanted to point to the fact that I am appreciative of such low effort names and think that in its simplicity, it's extremely creative. So I read, as I mentioned earlier, this one in one sitting, and also do love how much of an elusive character Nimona is. I'm not quite sure why she went on a rampage towards the end of the story, which is yet another reason for me to hate her and to be confused. She had no reason to destroy the village when she knew for a fact that it wasn't the village or the city, the people of the city, who were doing her this harm and who were causing her this pain. And in her position, I would have solely, in fact, attacked the institution rather than the people, despite being a villain. I mean, sometimes being a villain and being a broken um, hero, I suppose, are not the same, or just a broken person, shell of a character. Um, they're not the same. And honestly, I would consider Nimona to be quite a broken character, and in her position, I don't think I would have reacted the same way she did. But I'm not going to spoil much more than that. And she is extremely overpowered, and her actions don't really make much sense. As I've been saying, I don't see why she would act in such a way, considering that we got to know her quite well over the course of many chapters, and I did like the artwork, yet the font was rather difficult to read at times, and that got on my nerves too. For instance, towards the very start of the book, it was quite uncomfortable to read some of the text. It does get better later on, however. Not quite sure whether it is just this edition or whether this is the case with every single volume. Um, But yeah, as I mentioned, Blackheart did remind me of Doctor Strange quite a lot, mainly because of the way he looks and sometimes the way he speaks as well. This is the guy, Blackheart, by the way. Um, he does look a bit like Doctor Strange and he behaves like him in certain situations as well. I'm not quite sure as to whether or not this graphic novel classifies as an LGBT read. I've been trying to read some more of those because I want to be as inclusive as I can when it comes to reading. Since Blackheart and Golden Loin do seem to love each other, but we are not told explicitly whether or not they do, whether or not they are in a relationship, but I have a feeling that they are, and I don't think we are going to get any sequels anytime soon. So I found this to be extremely cute, the relationship between the two, by the way, and goes to show how much of a stupid construct hate is. And to be fair, Golden Loin is an extremely sore loser, and also the reason why Blackheart only has one real arm. So that has to be said as well. You need to point out every single thing when it comes to rivalries, and I think that is a very important thing to mention. It is not much of a spoiler since it happens towards the book, and it's a bit of a recurrent theme, really, as well. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars to 170 pages. Would recommend overall if you're looking for a quick and easy read, some fantasy, some destruction, a shapeshifter, that sort of thing, and some action and adventure as well, a bit of everything, really. Um, but yeah, that is all I had to say about Nimona. By Noelle Stevenson. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out the rest of my content because why not? It's absolutely amazing. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.